The mountain town was quiet that evening, the kind of quiet that felt soft and safe, like a blanket wrapping around everyone who lived there. Lena, a young woman with a gentle smile, moved quickly between the tables in the small tea house where she worked. Her hands were steady and quick, pouring hot tea, carrying plates of simple meals, and listening politely to the few travelers who had stopped for the night. She had worked in this tea house for several years, and while the work was hard, she liked it. She liked the calm routine, the small conversations with strangers, and the warmth of the fire that always burned in the hearth. The night outside was cold. Snowflakes had begun to fall softly, dusting the wooden streets and rooftops with a light layer of white. Lena wiped her hands on her apron and looked out the window. Her heart felt a little heavier tonight, though she could not tell why. Perhaps it was the cold, or perhaps it was the quietness that made her notice how alone the town seemed this evening as she was about to return to her duties. She heard a soft, pitiful sound outside the back door. It was faint, almost like a small whimper. Curious and concerned, she set down the tray she was carrying and tiptoed to the door. When she opened it, the wind rushed past her, cold and sharp, carrying the scent of snow and stone. Then she saw him. A tiny baby dragon was curled up on the doorstep, shivering under the falling snow. Its scales shimmered faintly even in the dim light of the lanterns, and a small, delicate wing lay folded awkwardly at its side. The little creature looked helpless, too weak to lift its head, its eyes blinking slowly as if it were trying to recognize the world. Lena's heart clenched. She had heard stories of dragons, of course, but she had never seen one up close, and certainly never a baby. She could feel the warmth of her own heartbeat as she knelt down carefully. "Hey, little one," she whispered softly. "It's okay. You're safe here." The baby dragon looked at her with wide, unafraid eyes. It was clear that it was frightened, but it did not try to bite or claw. Lena gently lifted it, feeling how light it was. Its small body was trembling, and its tiny wings were folded in a way that suggested it could not fly yet. She wrapped it in her apron, holding it close to her chest to give it warmth. The creature made a soft, almost musical sound, like a purr or a sigh, curling its tiny head against her. Lena's hands moved carefully, checking the small dragon for injuries. She could feel the weakness in its body, the way one wing was slightly bent, as if it would never grow as strong as it should. Her heart ached for the little thing. She remembered all the stories her grandmother used to tell her about creatures born different or weak, about how some were abandoned because they could not meet the expectations of others. She did not want that to happen to this little dragon. Inside the tea house, Lena set up a small corner near the fire. She gathered blankets and soft cloths, arranging them so the baby dragon could rest safely. She even heated some water in a small bowl, thinking it might be comforting. The little dragon looked up at her as she moved, its eyes wide and trusting. Lena smiled, a little tired but filled with a strange joy. She had never cared for a creature like this before, yet it felt completely natural. "Don't worry," she whispered. "I'll take care of you tonight. Tomorrow, we'll figure everything out." She stayed near the fire, holding the dragon close, feeling the warmth seep into its small body. It slowly relaxed, letting its head rest on her arm. And for the first time since it had been outside in the cold, it looked peaceful. Lena watched it carefully, marveling at the delicate shimmer of its scales, the tiny curve of its claws, and the gentle rise and fall of its chest as it breathed. Even in its weakness, it was beautiful. Unbeknownst to Lena, she was being watched. From the skies above, a shadow moved silently between the mountains. It was vast and powerful, its scales reflecting the pale light of the moon. The Dragon Emperor had sensed something unusual, the presence of his lost child. Aaron, his youngest, had been born with a wing weaker than the other dragons. And while the Emperor loved him deeply, he feared what others in the Mountain Kingdom might say. Dragons prided themselves on strength. Weakness was often hidden or ignored. When the Emperor arrived, he did not immediately reveal himself. He hovered silently above the town, observing the small tea house and the figure inside. His golden eyes softened as he watched Lena hold his son with such tenderness, with no hint of fear or greed. She spoke to the baby dragon in gentle tones, wrapped him in cloths, and stayed by the fire through the long, cold night. The emperor had expected fear, perhaps even anger, from any human who found his son. Instead, he saw love, patience, and courage. As the minutes passed, Lena began to notice how warm the little dragon had become, how its small body seemed to gain strength under her care. She hummed quietly to it, a soft tune that her mother had taught her as a child. She whispered stories of the mountains, of the tea house, of the quiet streets, and the falling snow. The baby dragon's eyes slowly closed, comforted by her voice and warmth. For Lena, it was a moment of pure connection, one she would never forget. Suddenly, a low, powerful rumble echoed from outside. Lena froze, her heart skipping a beat. The fire flickered, and the shadows in the room seemed to stretch longer. The dragon in her arms stirred but did not cry out. She looked toward the door, and in that moment, she felt a presence unlike anything she had ever felt. The air shifted, heavy and commanding, yet not threatening. It was as if the mountain itself had come alive. The dragon emperor descended slowly, his wings wide, his golden eyes fixed on the small tea house. He was magnificent, terrifying in his power. And yet there was something in his gaze that surprised Lena. It was awe, not anger. The emperor saw his son, safe and warm in human arms. He saw a strength in Lena that no dragon court could teach, no magical ability could grant. She had done what he could not. She had cared for his son as a parent would. Without pride, without expectation, without fear. For Lena, the sight was shocking. She had heard stories of dragons, of mighty rulers who could burn villages or command storms with a glance. Yet here was one of the most powerful beings in existence, and he was looking at her with something other than anger. Her heart pounded, but she did not flinch. She tightened her hold on the baby dragon, speaking softly as if to explain herself. "It's all right," she said. "I just wanted to help him. He was alone, and he was cold. That's all." The emperor's eyes narrowed slightly, and for a moment, Lena feared she had made a terrible mistake. Then he spoke, his voice deep and resonant, filling the room in a way that made the firelight seem small. "You saved him." It was not a question. It was a statement, a recognition. And in that simple acknowledgement, Lena felt something shift. The fear she had carried melted into calm. She realized that for the first time. She was looking at a dragon not as a legend, not as a threat, but as a father, and that father was seeing her as someone worthy of trust. The baby dragon stirred in her arms. Lifting his tiny head to look at his father, Lena smiled, brushing the small scales gently. She could feel the connection between the three of them, the child, the parent, and the human who had stepped in when fate demanded care. That night, the fire burned brighter than usual. The snow fell more gently outside, and a bond began to form that would change everything. The Dragon Emperor remained until the first light of dawn, watching Lena and his son. He had come expecting weakness, perhaps fear or foolishness. Instead, he found courage, kindness, and an understanding heart. As he took flight back into the mountains, he knew that nothing would ever be the same, not for his child, and not for the human girl who had held him with such love, and for Lena. As she finally allowed herself to rest with the baby dragon, sleeping safely beside her, she felt a warmth deeper than the fire, a sense of purpose and wonder. She did not yet know how far this encounter would reach, but she knew in that quiet morning that her life had just begun to change forever. The next morning, Lena awoke to the soft golden light of dawn streaming through the small windows of the tea house. The snow had stopped falling, leaving the mountain town sparkling under the early sun. The baby dragon, Aaron, was awake too, blinking his large eyes and stretching his tiny wings, though they were still weak. Lena smiled as she reached out to touch his soft, glimmering scales. "You're getting stronger," she said gently. "I think today will be a good day for practice." She had spent the night thinking about everything that had happened. The appearance of the Dragon Emperor, the fearsome yet protective father, had left her shaken. She had expected anger, maybe even punishment, but instead, she had been met with something she did not understand: curiosity, respect, and something almost like awe. She wondered why a creature so powerful, so legendary, would care so much about her actions. While Lena prepared a small breakfast for Aaron, there was a quiet rustling outside. She looked up and saw the Dragon Emperor standing at a distance, partially hidden among the snowy trees. His wings were folded neatly against his back, and his golden eyes seemed to study her carefully. For a moment, Lena felt a rush of nervousness. Would he scold her for daring to touch his son? Would he demand that she hand him over? But then she remembered how he had looked the night before, curious, almost gentle, and she took a deep breath. "It's okay," she whispered to herself. "Just be calm," Aaron chirped softly, as if understanding her words. Lena lifted him gently, allowing him to peer through the open door at the figure outside. The Emperor's gaze softened slightly as Aaron's small eyes met his. The bond between father and son was clear, even in that brief moment. Lena could feel the power radiating from him, warm, strong, and full of authority, but there was no anger, only attention, only interest. Finally, the Emperor stepped closer, his massive form moving with surprising grace. Despite his size, he did not scare Lena. His presence was commanding. Yet there was a strange calm that made her feel less frightened than she thought she would. "You care for him?" the Emperor said, his voice deep and steady. "He is my son. He is weak. And yet you hold him without fear?" Lena nodded, holding Aaron closer. "He needed help. He was cold, and his wing. It doesn't work like the others. I just wanted to keep him safe." The Emperor studied her for a long moment. His golden eyes flickered with an emotion that Lena could not name: pride, perhaps, or something deeper, like gratitude. Dragons rarely show emotion so openly. The fact that he allowed himself to be seen in this way startled her. "You are different from other humans," he said finally. "They would not do what you did. They would not care." Lena shook her head. "Not all humans are the same. Some are kind, some are brave, and some care more than they should. I guess I am one of them." She laughed softly, a sound that seemed almost musical against the crisp mountain air. Aaron chirped in agreement, pressing his tiny face against her neck. The Emperor's expression softened further. He stepped even closer, lowering his massive head to look at his son. Aaron stretched his wings slightly, and the Emperor gently nudged him with his snout. "You are safe," the dragon said quietly. "I see that now. You are cared for, and I am grateful." Lena's heart leaped. Even though the Emperor was powerful, even terrifying at times, he had just expressed gratitude to her. It was a rare thing, and she felt a warmth that spread from her chest to her fingertips. "I only did what felt right," she said softly. "I couldn't just leave him out there." The Emperor nodded slowly. Many dragons would see weakness as failure. They would leave him to his fate. But you see something else. You see value in his life, in his being. He paused, looking at Lena with eyes that seemed to pierce through her very soul. "Do you understand what it means for a dragon to show weakness? To be born different?" Lena thought carefully before speaking. "I think I do. Being different doesn't make someone less. It just means they need care, patience, and understanding. Everyone has something that makes them special, even if it doesn't look like what others expect." The Emperor remained silent for a long moment, considering her words. He had heard many humans speak, but few with such insight and clarity. Dragons valued strength, power, and skill. And yet here was a human explaining the value of kindness and compassion. Virtues dragons often overlooked. "You may stay," he said at last, his voice steady but commanding. "Not as a servant, not as a plaything, but as one who cares. You may stay and continue to watch over him." Lena blinked in surprise. "You mean, really?" The Emperor inclined his massive head. "Yes, I have seen your heart. I have seen your courage. He is my son, yes, but he is also weak in ways others cannot understand. You have given him something precious: safety and love. That alone earns my respect." Lena's eyes filled with tears, though she quickly brushed them away. I don't know what to say." "Thank you for trusting me." The Emperor's gaze softened. "Trust is earned, not given lightly. You have earned it in ways few humans ever could." Over the next few hours, Lena spent time showing the Emperor how she cared for Aaron. She helped him feed the small dragon, showing him how to provide warmth, gentle movement, and comfort. The emperor observed silently, asking questions only when necessary, and watching every gesture with quiet fascination. He had spent his life surrounded by dragons who valued power over compassion, and seeing such care from a human both surprised and humbled him. Aaron chirped happily, his small wings flapping weakly but determinedly. Lena encouraged him gently, whispering words of reassurance. "Good job, little one. You're stronger than you think." The emperor watched, noticing how the baby dragon responded to her voice, her touch, and her presence. In that moment, he realized something profound. Strength was not always measured by the size of wings, the power of fire, or the authority one commanded. Sometimes, strength was measured by love, patience, and understanding. Lena embodied that strength, and he could see it shaping his son's growth in ways that even he could not manage alone. "You have given him more than I could," he said quietly to Lena as they watched Aaron attempt a small leap. "More than I could provide with my power alone?" Lena shook her head, smiling. "I don't think it's about giving more or less. It's just helping when someone needs help. That's all anyone can do." The emperor's gaze softened, and he lowered his head closer to Lena. "Your words, they carry wisdom. More than I expected from one so small and human." Lena laughed softly, a little embarrassed by the compliment. "I guess sometimes humans surprise dragons too." The emperor nodded, a small movement that seemed almost shy in its subtlety. Perhaps humans are not so different from dragons after all." As the day went on, the bond between Lena and the emperor grew quietly but surely. They spoke little, but the understanding between them was clear. Lena cared for the dragon as if he were her own child, and the emperor watched, learning that love and protection could come in forms he had never considered. He had expected fear, respect, and obedience. But he found something far more valuable: genuine care and a human's courage to face the unknown. By evening, Lena had prepared a soft nest for Aaron near the fire. The baby dragon curled up contentedly, eyes half closed, while Lena sat nearby, exhausted but happy. The emperor remained at a distance, yet his presence was reassuring, protective in a way that even Lena could feel. Though he said little, his attention was constant. He had realized that this human girl had given his son a gift far beyond warmth. She had given him trust, safety, and a model for courage and patience. As the night grew quiet, the emperor finally spoke again. "He is safe with you. I trust you." Lena looked up, surprised by the words. "Thank you," she whispered, feeling a weight of responsibility and honor at the same time. "You have changed everything," the emperor continued. "Not just for him, but for me as well. I have learned something today, something I thought I would never understand. You have taught me that even the smallest hands, even the weakest touch, can protect and nurture what is most precious." Lena smiled, her heart full. She did not yet know the full scope of what lay ahead. She felt a quiet certainty that her life and Aaron's life would never be the same. And in that mountain tea house, under the soft glow of the fire and the watchful eyes of a dragon emperor, a new chapter had begun, one built on trust, care, and the simple, powerful act of kindness. The days that followed were filled with quiet routines and small moments of connection. Lena continued her work at the tea house, serving travelers and preparing meals. But her life had changed in ways she could hardly have imagined. Aaron, the baby dragon, was growing stronger each day. Though his wing was still weak, he had begun to stretch it, to flap it, and sometimes even to hover for a few seconds in the warmth of the firelight. Lena watched him with pride and careful attention, always encouraging him gently. The dragon emperor visited often, though he never forced his presence. Sometimes he simply hovered near the edge of the mountains, watching quietly, his golden eyes following every movement of his son and Lena. Other times, he entered the tea house in human form, walking among the tables as if he belonged. Though every now and then, his massive dragon form could be seen in the reflection of a window or the shimmer of moonlight on the snow outside. Lena had grown used to his presence. At first, it had been terrifying, but now it was comforting, even protective. Aaron chirped happily as Lena approached with a small bowl of warm milk. "Good morning, little one," she said softly, smiling. She held him gently in her arms as he drank, humming quietly to keep him calm. The baby dragon's wings flapped slightly with excitement, though he still relied on Lena's steady hands to keep him balanced. The Emperor watched from a distance, his gaze thoughtful. He was impressed by Lena's patience and skill. She had never been trained to care for dragons, yet she handled Aaron as if he had always been hers. Her voice was soothing, her movements careful and precise. And the little dragon responded to her with trust and affection. It was a bond that no magic, no training, and no command could create. It was earned through kindness. "Your care is remarkable," the Emperor said quietly, stepping closer. Lena looked up, surprised to hear him speak. She had grown used to his silent observation and had sometimes forgotten he was even there. "I just do what feels right," Lena replied, her hands still steady as she helped Aaron drink. "He needs someone to help him, and I want to—" The Emperor nodded slowly. "It is more than simple help. You give him confidence. You give him patience. You give him understanding. These are things even I struggle to provide as a father." Lena blushed slightly at the praise. She had never thought of herself as particularly brave or special. She had only acted out of instinct and care. Yet here was one of the most powerful beings she had ever encountered, acknowledging the depth of her actions. It made her feel both humbled and proud as the days turned into weeks. The bond between Lena, Aaron, and the Emperor deepened. Lena taught Aaron small exercises to strengthen his wing, using soft cloths and gentle movements to encourage flexibility and control. She sang to him while he practiced, her voice calm and reassuring. And the little dragon began to respond with more strength and confidence. He chirped happily, sometimes attempting short flights across the room, and each success brought a smile to Lena's face. The Emperor observed these sessions silently, learning from Lena's techniques and approach. He had always relied on strength and magic to guide his child, but Lena's methods were different. They were patient, nurturing, and full of care. He realized that sometimes the greatest power was not in dominating or controlling, but in encouraging, protecting, and believing in someone who had yet to find their own strength. One afternoon, Lena noticed the Emperor standing by the window, his eyes following Aaron as he struggled to lift himself onto a small chair. She approached him cautiously. "Do you want to help?" she asked softly. The Emperor shook his head. "No. I am watching. I am learning. You have a way of guiding him that I could not achieve through force. He trusts you in ways he does not yet trust me." Lena smiled. "It's okay. I think he trusts you more every day. He's learning that you're not just powerful. You're safe." The Emperor nodded thoughtfully. "Perhaps. But it is more than safety. You give him courage. You give him a reason to try, even when it is difficult. That is something I cannot teach with strength alone." Aaron struggled once more, his tiny claws slipping slightly on the edge of the chair. Lena reached out and steadied him, her hands warm and steady. "You can do it," she whispered. "I believe in you." The Emperor watched as Aaron took a deep breath and flapped his wings, managing to climb onto the chair with Lena's guidance. He chirped triumphantly, and Lena hugged him gently, her heart full. The Emperor felt a strange warmth in his chest, a sensation he rarely experienced. Pride, yes, but also something deeper, a realization that strength came in many forms, and that love and care were the strongest forces of all. Days passed, and the tea house became a place of quiet learning and growth. Travelers who visited often caught glimpses of the small dragon practicing under Lena's watchful eye, and some whispered tales of the human girl who cared for a magical creature. Lena never spoke much about it. She simply continued her work, her heart full of purpose and joy. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the mountains and painted the sky in shades of pink and gold, the Emperor approached Lena while she was preparing dinner. "I have watched you for some time," he said quietly. "You are patient, kind, and courageous. You understand him in ways I never could have imagined. You have changed him." Lena looked up, surprised. "I just wanted to help. I never thought I could change him." "You have," the Emperor said, his golden eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. He is stronger, more confident, and happier because of you. And I am learning from you as well. You show me that power is not always what matters most. Compassion does. Lena felt a blush rise to her cheeks, but she smiled. I'm glad. I hope I can continue to help him. I want to see him grow strong, not just in body, but in heart. The emperor nodded solemnly. That is the most important strength of all. You are teaching him what it means to be brave, to be patient, to care. These lessons will stay with him forever. Over the next few weeks, Lena introduced small games and exercises to help Aaron build strength while having fun. She encouraged him to flap his wings while chasing small toys, to balance on different surfaces, and to explore his surroundings under careful supervision. Each success was celebrated with cheerful chirps and gentle praise. The baby dragon's confidence grew. The emperor could see the changes clearly. He began to speak more often with Lena, asking her advice and listening carefully. Though he was powerful, he realized that Lena's knowledge came not from magic or experience with dragons, but from understanding, patience, and love. He respected her insight and began to consider how he could incorporate her methods into his own ways of raising Aaron. One afternoon, Lena noticed the emperor watching as she helped Aaron climb a small set of wooden steps she had built. He's doing well, she said softly. He's learning to trust his wings, to use them even when it's hard. The emperor nodded. Yes, he is learning more than I expected, and it is because of you. You see his potential, even when others would only see weakness. Lena smiled. Everyone has potential. Sometimes it just takes someone who believes in them to help it grow. The emperor studied her words, feeling their truth resonate deeply. He had always believed in strength, in power, in the might of dragons, but he had learned that there was another kind of power, one that came from patience, understanding, and care. Lena embodied that power, and through her, his son would grow into a dragon who was not only strong, but wise, compassionate, and brave as the sun set and the tea house filled with the warm glow of lanterns. Lena and the emperor watched Aaron curl up beside the fire. He was tired from the day's practice, but his eyes shone with happiness and trust. Lena reached out and stroked his small head gently, and the emperor's eyes softened as he observed the bond between them. You have given him something I could not, he said quietly to Lena. You have given him courage, trust, and love. He will carry this with him always. Lena looked up at him, her heart full. I only did what felt right, but thank you for trusting me. The emperor inclined his head slightly. Trust is not given lightly. You have earned it, and in doing so, you have changed everything. That night, as Lena prepared to sleep with Aaron, curled safely in a nest of blankets beside her, she thought about how much her life had changed. She had entered the tea house as a simple waitress, and now she was part of something extraordinary. She was part of a story that involved dragons, courage, and the gentle strength of love, and the dragon emperor, watching silently from the mountains, understood that his son's future had been shaped in ways he could never have imagined through the patience, care, and unwavering heart of a human girl. For the first time, he felt that perhaps dragons and humans were not as different as he had believed. Perhaps there was a world where courage, compassion, and understanding could unite them, and where even the weakest among them could grow strong through love. The morning sun shone brightly over the mountain town, casting golden light across the rooftops and the small tea house where Lena had become a constant presence. Aaron, the baby dragon, was awake and restless, chirping softly as he stretched his tiny wings. Lena smiled at him, brushing her fingers gently over his shimmering scales. Good morning, little one. Are you ready to practice today? She asked softly. Aaron let out a small, happy chirp in response, flapping his wings tentatively. Today was different. Lena sensed it the moment she opened the door. The air carried a weight she had not felt before, a sense of importance and expectation that made her pause. The Dragon Emperor had arrived again, but this time he was not alone. Behind him, a group of dragons from the mountain court hovered in the sky, their wings creating a rhythmic whoosh in the crisp morning air. Lena had heard stories of these dragons' elders and advisors to the emperor. Dragons known for their strength, pride, and unyielding standards. They had never shown interest in a human or a weak dragon. Lena swallowed hard, but she did not step back. She lifted Aaron gently in her arms, keeping him close and warm. "It's okay," she whispered to him. "I'll be right here." "Don't worry." The emperor landed softly, his massive form casting a shadow across the snow. He lowered his head to look at Lena, his golden eyes calm and steady. "Today you will meet the court," he said quietly. "They wish to understand why you are here and why you care for my son." Lena nodded, her heart racing. She had expected fear, perhaps even anger from the emperor's court, but she did not anticipate the judgment she would face. Still, she felt a quiet resolve. Aaron depended on her, and she would not falter. The court dragons circled above, their eyes sharp and critical. As they landed gracefully on the snow, Lena could feel their scrutiny. Whispers filled the air, a mixture of curiosity, doubt, and, in some cases, disapproval. One elder stepped forward, his scales a deep emerald green, his eyes narrow. "You are a human," he said, his voice both curious and stern. "Why do you touch a dragon of royal blood? Why do you interfere with what is not yours?" Lena took a deep breath. She looked at the elder dragon calmly and answered, "I do not interfere. I care. This dragon is hurt, weak, and needs help. I am here to protect him, to keep him safe, and to help him grow stronger. That is all." There was a moment of silence. The court dragons looked at one another, surprised by her words. Many of them had expected fear, excuses, or even disrespect. Instead, they saw sincerity, patience, and courage. Lena's calm voice and steady gaze spoke louder than any display of power could have. Another elder stepped forward, scales a silvery blue, and his expression was skeptical. "He is weak," the elder said. "A royal dragon must be strong to survive. How can a human teach him strength?" Lena shook her head gently. "Strength is not only in wings or fire. Strength is in courage, patience, and the heart. This little dragon has courage. I am here to help him find it and use it." The emperor watched silently, his golden eyes observing every reaction. He had expected resistance, but Lena's words carried weight even among the proud dragons of the court. Slowly, he stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. "She is right," said, his deep voice echoing across the snow. "Aaron is my son, yes, and he is weak in ways some of you do not understand. But she has cared for him, taught him patience, and given him trust. That is strength. That is power. And that is why she is here." A murmur ran through the court. Some dragons looked skeptical, others thoughtful, but none could deny the truth in the emperor's words. Lena held Aaron closer, feeling the baby dragon press his small head against her neck. She could feel his small heartbeat fast, with both excitement and nervousness. He trusted her, and she trusted herself to speak for him. The elder dragon circled slowly, examining the baby dragon. "He is different," one said finally. "We see it, but perhaps there is value in this difference. Perhaps strength is not only in fire or flight." Lena nodded gently. "Every dragon, every being, has something that makes them special. Weakness does not mean failure. It means someone needs care, someone needs patience, and someone needs belief. I believe in him." Aaron chirped softly, as if understanding her words. He stretched his wings tentatively, and Lena encouraged him gently. "That's it, little one. You're trying. Keep going." The emperor's eyes softened as he watched. He had always known the mountains valued strength, but today he realized that compassion, understanding, and care were equally powerful. Lena had given Aaron more than wings or fire. She had given him confidence, trust, and love. That was something even dragons of the court had difficulty understanding. Over the next hours, Lena demonstrated small exercises to help Aaron strengthen his wings. She encouraged him to climb over small obstacles, to balance on uneven surfaces, and to flap his wings in controlled movements. The court dragons watched silently, their expressions gradually shifting from skepticism to admiration. The baby dragon's courage and persistence were evident, and Lena's guidance was calm, patient, and skillful. One elder, who had been particularly critical, stepped forward cautiously. "Perhaps we underestimated her," he said. "She does not rely on force or magic. She relies on understanding and care, and it works." The emperor nodded, his gaze meeting Lena's. "She has taught my son lessons that I could not, and she has shown us all that strength can be found in patience, courage, and trust." Aaron flapped his wings once more, managing to hover for a brief moment before landing safely on the soft blankets Lena had prepared. He chirped happily, and Lena hugged him gently. The court dragons nodded slowly, some murmuring their approval. Even the skeptics could see the truth the little dragon was learning. Growing and thriving under Lena's care, the emperor stepped closer, lowering his massive head to look at Lena. "You have done more than I could have imagined," he said softly. "You have changed him. And in doing so, you have changed how we see strength." Lena smiled, feeling a warmth that spread through her chest. "I only did what felt right. He needed someone to help him, and I wanted to. That's all." The emperor's eyes shone with something rare gratitude and admiration. "You have earned respect not only from me, but from all who witness your care. You have proven that even the smallest hands and the gentlest hearts can shape the future." The elder dragons nodded slowly, and one by one, they acknowledged Lena's efforts. Their skepticism faded, replaced by respect and understanding. It was a quiet victory, but a meaningful one. Lena had stood her ground, spoken her truth, and shown that love and care were just as important as power and strength as the sun began to set behind the mountains. Lena sat with Aaron beside the fire in the tea house. He curled up against her gently, tired but happy from the day's exercises. The emperor remained at a distance, his massive form silhouetted against the golden sky. He had observed, learned, and reflected on what he had seen. Lena had taught lessons that extended far beyond the tea house lessons about courage, patience, and the power of love. "She will stay," the emperor said quietly to himself. "Watching Lena and Aaron, she belongs here, not as a servant, not as a guest, but as someone who cares for my son and teaches him strength beyond wings and fire." Lena looked at the baby dragon and whispered softly, "You did so well today, little one." "I'm proud of you," Aaron chirped in response, his tiny wings fluttering in excitement. Lena smiled, feeling a sense of peace she had never known before. She was not just a waitress anymore. She was a guardian, a teacher, and a friend. She had a purpose that went beyond herself. It filled her with joy. The Dragon Emperor watched silently from the mountains as the evening deepened into night. He had always valued power, skill, and dominance, but today he had learned something new. Strength was not measured by wingspan or firepower. It was measured by courage, trust, and the ability to care for another being, even when it seemed impossible. Lena had shown him that, and for that, he would always respect her. As the stars appeared in the night sky, Lena prepared a small nest of blankets for Aaron, tucking him in gently. She sat beside him, watching as his eyes slowly closed in sleep. The day had been long and challenging, but it had also been filled with growth, understanding, and connection. Lena knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, but she was ready. Together with Aaron and the Dragon Emperor, she would face whatever came next, and for the first time, the Dragon Emperor felt a sense of hope that extended beyond his power. He saw a future where his son could grow strong not only in body but in heart, guided by a human girl whose courage and care had changed everything. The days that followed the Dragon Court meeting were filled with calm and steady progress. Lena continued to care for Aaron, the baby dragon, guiding him gently as he learned to move, balance, and flap his wings. Each day he grew stronger, not only in his body, but in confidence and spirit. Lena watched him with pride, feeling joy in every small success. The baby dragon chirped happily when he managed a new trick, and Lena laughed softly. Hugging him carefully, the Dragon Emperor remained a constant presence, though he often observed from a distance, letting Lena guide Aaron on her own. He had learned much from her the value of patience, understanding, and care. He had seen how a small human hand could encourage a dragon to try harder, how gentle words could inspire trust, and how love could teach courage in ways that strength alone never could. One afternoon, Lena decided it was time for Aaron to try something new. She had built a small platform near the tea house, just a few feet high, for him to practice short flights. "Are you ready, little one?" she asked, holding him gently. Aaron chirped and flapped his tiny wings excitedly, as if he understood. Lena guided him to the edge of the platform and whispered words of encouragement. "You can do it. I believe in you. I know you can fly." The baby dragon took a deep breath, stretched his wings, and leaped. For a brief moment, he hovered in the air, his weak wings shaking slightly, but supporting him just enough. Lena clapped gently, cheering softly. "Yes, you did it. That's wonderful." The Dragon Emperor, who had been watching from the nearby trees, stepped closer, his massive wings folding gracefully behind him. "He is improving," he said quietly, his voice filled with pride. "He is learning more than I could have hoped. And it is because of you," Lena blushed, feeling both honored and humbled. "I only do what I can," she said softly. "He is brave, and he tries hard. I just help him see that he can." The Emperor studied her for a moment, golden eyes thoughtful. "You have given him more than guidance," he said. "You have given him belief in himself. That is a gift far greater than any strength I could give." As the days passed, news of Lena's care for Aaron spread through the mountain town and beyond. Travelers who visited the tea house whispered stories of the human girl who had nurtured a baby dragon. They spoke of her bravery, patience, and gentle heart. Some dragons, who had once been skeptical, began to show interest in her methods. They saw the change in Aaron, the growing strength, the confidence. The Joyande recognized the value of Lena's care. One morning, the Emperor approached Lena with a serious look. "The court has accepted your place here," he said quietly. "They respect your courage and your guidance. But now, there is something you must understand. You are not just a caretaker. You are part of our family. Your presence will shape not only Aaron's life, but the future of our mountain kingdom." Lena's heart raced. She had never imagined such an honor. I don't know what to say," she whispered, overwhelmed by the weight of his words. "Do not speak," the Emperor said gently. "Just continue to care, to teach, to love. That is enough." From that day forward, Lena became a permanent part of the Dragon Mountain community. She continued her work at the tea house, but her role expanded. She spent her days guiding Aaron through exercises, teaching him patience and encouraging his curiosity. The Emperor often joined them, sometimes in human form, sometimes in dragon form, quietly observing, offering advice, and learning from Lena's wisdom. Aaron's wing grew stronger with each passing day. He began to explore further distances, gliding from one platform to another with increasing confidence. He chirped happily, sometimes attempting playful spins in the air. And Lena would clap and cheer, her heart swelling with pride. The baby dragon's courage and determination were unmatched. And Lena's guidance had helped him discover his own strength. One evening, as the sun set and painted the mountains in shades of gold and pink, Lena and the Emperor sat together, watching Aaron play in the snow. The little dragon flapped his wings, chasing snowflakes and laughing with delight. Lena smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "He's so happy," she said softly. "I never imagined he could be like this." The Emperor nodded, his golden eyes reflecting the fading sunlight. "He is happy because of you," he said quietly. "You have given him courage, trust, and love. You have taught him that strength is not only in wings or fire, but in heart. And for that, I am grateful." Lena felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had never thought her life could hold such purpose. Caring for Aaron had become more than a duty, it was a calling, a joy, and a source of wonder. She had discovered a connection that transcended species, a bond that united a human girl, a baby dragon, and a powerful emperor in a way that was stronger than any magic. As winter turned to spring, the bond between Lena, Aaron, and the emperor deepened further. Lena continued to teach Aaron, introducing new exercises and games to strengthen his wings and mind. She encouraged him to explore the mountains safely, guiding him through gentle flights and careful landings. The Emperor watched proudly, offering advice when needed but allowing Lena to lead. He had learned to respect her methods and her wisdom, realizing that her guidance was shaping Eren in ways he never could. The Dragon Court, once skeptical and critical, had grown to respect Lena as well. They observed the growth of Eren and saw the changes in the young dragon, the confidence, the joy, and the determination. Slowly, they came to understand that Lena's care had not only strengthened Eren's body, but also his spirit. Even the most skeptical elders acknowledged her influence. Recognizing the value of patience, understanding, and love. One afternoon, the Emperor called Lena to a quiet spot near the edge of the mountain. The wind was gentle, carrying the scent of wildflowers and pine. Eren chirped nearby, playing with a small snowball Lena had made for him. "You have done more than I could ever ask," the Emperor said quietly. "You have changed him, changed me, and changed the court. Your heart is strong, and your care has shaped the future of this mountain. You have become family." Lena felt tears welling in her eyes. She had never imagined such words, such honor, and such responsibility. I only wanted to help," she whispered. "I never imagined I could make such a difference." "You have," the Emperor said softly, "and that difference will last for generations. Eren will grow strong in body and heart, and it is because of you. You have given him the greatest gift, a belief in himself, and a love that will guide him always." Eren flew over to Lena, chirping happily and landing on her shoulder. She laughed softly, stroking his shimmering scales. The Emperor watched them, feeling a warmth and pride he had never known before. The baby dragon, once weak and fragile, had grown into a creature of courage and joy, and Lena, with her gentle hands and patient heart, had been the guiding light. As night fell, the mountains glowed under the silver light of the moon. Lena tucked Eren into his soft nest of blankets near the fire, watching him drift into sleep. The Emperor remained nearby, his massive form relaxed, his eyes soft and thoughtful. He had seen the power of care, patience, and love, and he knew that Lena's influence would shape not only Eren's life, but the future of the Mountain Kingdom. Lena sat quietly, her heart full, reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. She had arrived as a simple waitress, unaware of the magic, wonder, and responsibility that awaited her. She had discovered a bond that transcended fear, species, and expectation, a bond built on trust, care, and love. And she knew that the story of her life had changed forever. The Dragon Emperor spoke softly, breaking the quiet. "You have proven that even the smallest hands can shape the future, and even the gentlest hearts can teach courage. Eren is stronger because of you, and so am I." Lena smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered, "for trusting me, for letting me help, for showing me that even a human can make a difference." The Emperor inclined his head slightly, a rare gesture of humility and respect. "You have changed everything," he said, "and for that, you will always have a place here, with Eren, with me, and with all who care for this mountain." As the stars twinkled in the night sky, Lena knew that her life had entered a new chapter. She had found purpose, friendship, and family in the most unexpected of places. The baby dragon slept peacefully, growing stronger each day, and the Dragon Emperor stood guard silently, protecting his son while learning from the human who had taught them both the meaning of true strength. Together, they formed a family unlike any other, bound, not by blood alone, but by trust, care, and the quiet courage that had changed the fate of a weak little dragon. In turn, the hearts of everyone around him, and in the warmth of the tea house. Under the glow of the fire, Lena realized that everything truly had changed the world. The dragons, and herself, because she had dared to care.